You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
The snap, the kick, it's been blocked again! Oh my! It's been blocked again! He's going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be caught! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyree Cleveland! Oh my! I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw, pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's Nori! It's Nori! Got a touchdown! Nori's got a touchdown! Oh my! Nori's got a touchdown!
Hands it off to Harmon. He comes back. Say goodbye.
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out a winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. It's your boy Corey.
It's Dan.
Hey, your boy J Scott 25 was good, everybody. I'm missing my boy Nick, but yes, sir.
Shout out to
Nick.
Nick. Nick's out of here. Nick's out of here. He'll be back, but Nick's out of here this week. Exciting stuff. What's going on? How was everybody's weekend?
Pretty chill, man. Same corner, same time. Thanks for everybody for pulling up. Make sure y'all hit like, subscribe, comment, engage with us. I didn't get into a whole lot, man. Just work, bro. Nothing sexy going on. Saving all my energy for April. It's the wife's birthday month, so we're gonna go ham. So I'm just saving my energy.
There you go.
Got that time. Got you know they celebrate for the whole month. It ain't ever a day weekend.
Unfortunately, man. It's a women's perk.
Jordan, how about you, brother? We missed you
I had
last
a pretty chill weekend, man. Went up. It was my niece's birthday. They live up there in Sarasota, Bradenton area. We went to this new museum called the Aquarium, sorry. And it was a pretty nice aquarium. The kids had a blast. It wasn't too expensive for how new it was. So I was happy. We caught a little vibe, went out there. The kids had fun, and we all went back to my grandma's house and just ate food and relaxed after that.
Nice.
Awesome.
Sounds like a good time.
I'm glad that you had a good time. Yeah, pretty chill. Other than I went to the hockey game Saturday. It's my last hockey game as a person that's living here, moving over the bridge, moving over to St. Pete in a couple weeks. So excited for a new
not
chapter.
ready, bro. They're not ready.
No more high rise, Dan.
No more high rise, Dan. Gonna live in a community, a sleepy little community. It's that time. It's that time, Jordan. I mean, I'll be close to downtown, but just not.
I'm gonna miss that view, bro.
I'm gonna miss the view too.
Yeah, man.
But we had a great run here. It's been awesome living here on this side and where I've been. But after living in Tampa for the last almost 13 years, it's time to go get domicile myself, domesticate myself.
Big sourdough.
Do yard work, sourdough, big grocery shopping. No longer going to get the groceries delivered. It won't make sense anymore, I have my own garage to park into instead of,
Like to stay with bags. I feel that.
The grocery haul will be a little bit different these days. At least the delivery person don't got to haul them up the elevator no more.
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. I mean, I felt bad, but I mean, that's what they were getting paid for. But I'm excited to do that. But man, I've just got such a busy April. It's going to be nuts, but I'm looking forward to it. Head to DC tomorrow for work. So looking forward to getting up there as well. So, but we got a packed show today. We got Ben Chase, former director of NIL for the University of Florida Athletic Department. Excited to talk to him about what's changed in NIL. Ben was one of the first people that we got on to talk a lot about the changes of what NIL meant and how much it's changed over the last 3 or 4 years that he was associated with UF. We've got Josh Newberg from On3 to talk about recruiting this week, and that's awesome. Fans of the old Big Three roll-up know Josh Newberg well. Josh is a personal friend of Corey and myself. I'm actually going to see Josh at the end of April when I'm up in Nashville. And then we might get a player on the show at the end of the show, but I'm not going to spoil it because we just got to make sure he's going to show up. So with that, Corey, let's get a quick ad read, and we'll go from there.
Stadium and Gale is powered by the great folks at Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. Anything you need insured from the Panhandle to the Keys. Make sure you hit my man Greg up at bruntinsurance.com or give him a call at 954-589-2204. I guarantee you he can save you some money on insurance. It don't cost nothing to find out. You get a free quote on life insurance, auto insurance, home insurance, boat, motorcycle. If it move, he can insure it. bruntinsurance.com or 954-589-2204. Greg, what it do, baby?
Shout out to Greg. I just got my new homeowners insurance policy through him. His staff was awesome. Gave a bunch of different options. They helped me narrow down what was necessary, what wasn't necessary. Work through the muck there. So shout out to Greg. And one time for our friends over at the Dykus Burke and Lewis Law Group, give them a call at 855-652-1377 or visit them at dykusburkelaw.com. If you are looking for anything related to property insurance, claims, pipe leaks, water damage, wind damage, hail damage, hurricane damage, sinkhole damage. By the way, did you guys know there was an earthquake off the coast of the Gulf of Mexico yesterday? Kind of nuts.
That's crazy.
So maybe earthquake damage, if that ever becomes a thing, if that is a thing, we got bigger issues. But go visit our friends over at the Dykus Burke and Lewis Law Group. Again, that's 855-652-1377. We appreciate everybody for joining. As always, Scott was here before anybody else got here.
Scott, not beat me here, man.
My boy JLB, Toronto Blue Jays, always here, always shouting me. I don't know what JLB, Toronto Blue Jays. I don't know who you are, but I appreciate the love each and every week, brother. Ben Chase is here, Spencer. So we really are looking forward to a great show today. With that, guys, I know that the talk of the internet this past Saturday was the Florida Gators scrimmage. Closed to most. I think we had some eyeballs there. I had some eyeballs there. I know there's some other folks that put out some notes. But Corey, what you hear a little bit about the practice this past weekend?
Wish I had the notes to read off. Probably should have had Nick notes since he's not here to read off as well. I think you probably could grab those. But
yeah, I
heard good things. A lot of what you put on the timeline as far as the quarterback battle in regards to it being real close and them not being neither one being like a game breaker or anything like that, but game manager type quarterbacks. I've heard similar things to that the quarterback battle is neck and neck. There's no one really leading the pack there, and that's not a bad thing. Both guys are performing well, but it's a close battle. Just speaking on some, I don't know if y'all want to go position group by position group, but just overall. So running back room, I'm hearing that Duke is running back 2, and he's making a lot of popping a lot of big runs, a lot of top end speed. A guy that probably is going to be one of the leaders in the room with yards per carry. So he's having a good day. The receiver room everything is advertised. Josh Pate hit me back up when he was in town at a practice. Said a lot of the same stuff. He said that receiver room and running back room are top tier in the country, not just SEC. So I think offensive line is the biggest wrench right now, and the biggest just cog in the chain. I would say is them trying to find that 5. That room is going to take some development from Trotwin. I got a lot of faith in Trotwin and what he can do and what he's done in the past, but most of that room he didn't bring in. So there's only so much judgment I could put on him, but I think Buster Faulkner and those guys are wise enough and could get their Dan Mullen on and scheme around like what those guys' capabilities is. But I like what I heard, man. Defensively, the same thing, man. Hearing great things from the linebacker room. Miles is getting a lot of hype. We already knew with Aaron Childs and Miles Graham, but it's another Miles. What's his last name again? Forgetting. What is Miles' last name? The linebacker. Why am I forgetting it?
Jeez.
Yeah, this is amateur right here. But yeah, I hear him. Yeah, just search that name for me. But I'm hearing that the linebacker room is gonna be good, even if we go second and third on the depth chart. Those guys are deep at that position. Secondary, Hearing that Miles Johnson. I don't know how I forgot his
Thanks, guys. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. It stinks that the stream's like 15 seconds behind real life. My bad.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Cormani and Ben Hanks is leading that secondary, but I'm hearing just even in the two deep that, Javari Flowers is having a good camp. Dijon is getting back to regular form. So, overall, man, outside of the O-line room, I'm just hearing good things, man. You got to see it all materialize during the season in the fall, when they start implementing new things and installing, more of the offense. But from what I'm hearing right now, it's a very aggressive and physical scrimmage. No injuries. Nobody got limped off or nobody was carted off. That's new for us. So just heard it was a very good scrimmage.
We haven't heard much about injuries this entire offseason so far, which is great. Normally you hear about a couple guys getting banged up, but so far, and Dallas Wilson was on the field without a boot on. I had some eyes in the sky for that game, and just without giving up this person's identities, been around to a number of different scrimmages around the SEC over the last couple of weeks, and they've said some really great things about Florida. They said that the scrimmage was very well run, very organized. This person had gone to Auburn's scrimmage and Auburn's practice, and it just wasn't the same. There seems to be a lot of efficiency. There seems to be a lot of direction, a lot of control over the way that the scrimmage and the practices are going, which is just fantastic news. They are still rotating a ton of players. It's my understanding that for the most part, you're still getting your 1s, 2s, and 3s about the same amount of time that are out there. Corey, I think that you mentioned a little bit about running back room. This is from Nick's notes. I'm not going to read them all. They're on Florida Victorious. You can go read them all there. But right now, he said the running back depth chart is similar to what you said. Jaden Ball, Duke Clark, Pryor, Montgomery, and then Byron Lewis is there in the 5th spot there at running back. But, if Clark has beat out Pryor and Montgomery, both of whom which had, good careers at Ohio State and East Carolina, respectively, that I think bodes really well for Duke Clark and what he's able to do. I know that there was a comment about Aaron Philo having a better start to the scrimmage. That was in real time. That was at the time. I know a couple people corrected me. They was like, "Oh, this is what came out about interceptions and everything else." Like, I posted it again later. Like, they are very much getting the same opportunity. No one player has really done significantly better than the other. Nobody is really beating anybody out so far, at least what you can see in a scrimmage. And I think that that's a good thing for both. I think that they're both pushing each other. Obviously, you're going to see more, but it's also giving both of them a really good opportunity to get times with the 1 and the 2s. And it's not just somebody has already separated themselves where they're not getting the chance to play with the 1. So, I don't know. Yeah.
Now, before you finish your thought, I want to talk about the quarterback spot before you move on. That's all.
Yeah. Not much else. A ton of energy from the coaches, as you can imagine. I think that that's, one thing that we've talked a lot about on the show is that it just seems like the coaching staff is very much modeled after the head guy who's, going to be in there. He's going to be making plays. But, I think when you look back at Florida in the QB room, the guy that I was talking to said that the floor is quite high for Florida from a QB perspective, and that might not be a terrible thing. The ceiling might not be, huge game breaker type quarterback or somebody that's going to be in Heisman contention. But a lot of what befell Florida last year on the offensive side of the ball was a lack of making some of the easy or intermediate passes. And we don't necessarily always have to go, 4 wide and go for the deep ball 30, 40 yards down the field. But if we can consistently hit, those 10, 15, 20-yard passes, if we can avoid the turnovers, then maybe that's where Florida needs to be, especially if there is some question marks on the offensive line and what that might look like. So that's from somebody that was there. This is not a Florida fan, so this is not him sunshine and pumping at all. He was very, very impressed by the University of Florida, and he's been to Georgia, Notre Dame, Auburn. He's been to a bunch, and he said that Florida's coaching staff right now, at least from a way that they've put together a product on the field over the last 3.5 months, is something very much worth noting, and he was very impressed.
Yep. Hearing a lot of the same stuff, man. But just to chime in a little bit on the quarterback position, I do want to give and this is not saying anybody leading, but the fact that just to speak to Tramel, we had Tramel on the show before, but just to speak to him being able for it to even be even right now is impressive.
Yep.
Right. And because I was of the thought of when Philo decided to come to UL from Georgia Tech, having that relationship and the 2-year head start at Georgia Tech, that this kid's about to run away with the position. I don't know if Tramel's gonna get a fair shot at this thing. For him, and this is not just coach speak. This is people that are at the practice saying that this is like a 50-50 thing. They look about even right now. For Philo to have a 2-year head start, I just want to give Tramel that's not easy in the football world. Jordan, you can speak on that, but it's just not easy, man. So to be up to speed and performing at a 50-50 level at this spot in spring, shout out to the kid, man.
Yeah, man, he's definitely doing his thing with that because most of the time, man, it gets real. I don't want to say commercial or politics wise, but once you get into that position, it's easy for coaches just to kind of hone in on one guy and just be like, okay, this is our guy, but you got to basically go above and beyond to prove me otherwise. So I'm glad that the coaches are kind of giving him that opportunity. And I was able to talk to some people around campus and people that's, around the building. And they were like, man, I wish we had these coaches. When I heard that, I was happy to know that they're in good company. He was like, I love the energy that these coaches bring and just the opportunity that he's letting everybody get in the spring. He's like, bro, it's like a lot of people think everything is settled in dust. Obviously, we know we got our guys who are going to be the starters, but he's like, everybody's getting opportunities. Everybody's getting a chance. He said, I think this coaching staff is doing a really good job of filling out their roster and seeing what we have on the grass. I know what we got on paper and who has done what last year and who done what from other schools and high schools. He said all these coaches are giving each and every player on this roster a chance to show what they could do on the grass right now so they know what we got. Because you know how it goes. After this spring is over, some dudes are jumping ship. Some dudes that are bottom tier on the roster will try to jump ship and go somewhere else. There's no spring portal, but where their mindset is. You know what I'm saying?
There's I think there's going to be a backdoor to that spring portal. Yeah,
it's going to be some
movement. Come on, it's going to be something. That's what I'm saying.
That unenrolling from
they about to test these rules.
Yeah.
Come on, they're going to test them out real well. So I think I'm happy to hear that the coaches are doing a great job of giving everybody a fair shot, a fair opportunity, right? Because you can lie to yourself all you want, but if you had X amount of reps and the other dude had X amount of reps, you ain't taking advantage of yours, he took advantage of his, and now you want to leave. I mean, that's on you. It's not like you was just snubbed of having 2-3 reps a day like this the NFL or something. He giving everybody a fair share. And another thing he spoke very highly of was just the offense. He was very impressed about how they're picking up the playbook pretty good. He said he ain't throw it too hard on them yet as far as making it real detailed, but he's like, what he's giving them, they've done a lot with it. And you can tell those guys are trying to work hard to learn it and become masters of the playbook. So that's just some good things I heard and some good takeaways from some of my guys out there, man. And I was happy to hear that he was very excited about the coaching staff and that he wished that we had that coaching staff. Because I ain't saying we had the best coaches ever, but shoot, we had some pretty good guys for us. In our time, we did pretty well with what we had. So for him to say that Coach Sumrall and his staff is bringing a totally different energy and vibe to the campus that we never seen before, that makes me feel great knowing that everything's going to be taken care of.
Yeah, man. It speaks to just even Billy Napier was a terrible coach, but they evaluated talent well as well, right? If you look around this team, there's older, more veteran guys that are coming from transferring. They're not beating these guys. It's real competitions and they're not just giving up spots. Hearing Lagunza at starting at safety, we brought in a veteran Dooley that ran White's offense at Kentucky. Yep. He's coming here and he's behind a true sophomore right now, right? So it just speaks to the talent that they did bring here, because they brought in some veterans with some production and that have started in this league before, and we got some young boys that are giving them hell right now with competing for spots, man. So
you made a good point, Corey. I was gonna echo something similar. It's not just Sumrall looking at all the available options that are there with the roster that he has. It's also the position coaches that, Buster Faulkner brought over guys from Georgia Tech. Phil Trotwan brought over guys from Penn State. White brought people over from Kentucky. There's, a number of other coaches that brought players with them. And none of them are necessarily showing out and beating the team. There's not been what looks to be favoritism in those guys that, oh, you played with me at Penn State, therefore you're guaranteed a spot on the offensive line. And that kind of competition is hopefully is going to make the team better, because there are coaches that, oh, hey, you played with me before, this is your spot. Like, this spot is guaranteed for you. And what we see so far, and like we can see what happens in the fall, but what we see right now is when you look at what the 1s and 2s are, right now, the ones that started in the practice was Tramel Jones, Jaden Ball, Eric Singleton, Vernell Brown, Micah Mays, Amir Jackson, Egan Boyer, Najee Harris, Harrison Moore, Bryce Levitt, Caden Jones on offense. I mean, those are a lot of Florida guys. There's obviously some other guys that are in there, and Dallas Wilson would probably be in there, over Micah Mays if he was fully healthy. And then on defense, it was Abadayo, Brendan Betts, Jamari Lyons, Jaden Woods, Childs Robinson at linebacker, Hanks McLean, Kanye Clark, and then Bryce Thornton and Lagonza Hayward were your starting on defense. So I think you made a good point there. And, I think it's showing, real true competition that we have.
Yeah. I seen a stat today that said that we're returning 75% of our production on defense. So
yeah, number one in the SEC, 77%.
77. Mm-hmm. Correct me. Data facts.
Yeah, I mean that's huge. Florida obviously is going to be missing a couple of key players, or more, and I guess with a couple of the injuries, we didn't get as much as we thought out of some of the other players on the defensive side of the ball. But you also were able to supplant some pretty good players, and if Emmanuel Abadajo is as good as everybody says he is, that could be a big upgrade.
What a monster, bro. I got somebody that sent me a picture while they was at the practice, and he's standing beside Lions, Bet, like all these other big monsters I've seen in person. They look like children around him, man. Yep. That kid's huge.
He's a huge dude.
Yeah. I gotta see him, man. He definitely first get off the bus. We're gonna see what he can do when between the lines when the whistle get blown, man, on Saturday.
Right.
But you damn sure let him get off the bus first.
Yeah, he damn sure passed the eye test. I can tell you that.
We more positive stuff about KJ Ford. Kid's going to play this year, so continuing to see him show out when it comes to scrimmage time is huge. Yeah,
he's going to be when you start jumping guys that quick. This is a little bit what Tramel started doing last year. But when you come on campus as a true freshman, you got guys like Kofi, who we all thought is a solid 2 behind Jaden Woods. But the guy's been on the college campus for a few years. For a true freshman to jump and start moving ahead of a guy or competing for the number 2 spots in spring, start getting the Jaden Wood feel and vibes, But he's more of a pure pass rusher. Jaden Woods could do everything. But I think from a pass rush specialist, like if you follow recruiting, what KJ Ford brings to the table.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's kind of all the notes at least that I want to share from Nick's post. I don't want to take all of his stuff, but it does seem like there was some defensive line and linebackers seemingly did really well in that game. Ben Hanks, I know, had an interception. There was a couple other players. Who else? Jordy Lowry had an interception. Good play there. The transfer, Jordy Lowry. So again, we're starting to see some of these players, start to develop. And I think that there's an expectation that Ben Hanks gets, more of an opportunity this year, and they're going to rely pretty heavily on him when it comes to, right now him being listed as CB1. Now, will he be CB1? We'll see, but that's why you stockpile this highly ranked 4-star and 5-star talent to hopefully give them the opportunity that in that second year they can really show out and do something.
He's making some strides.
Oh boy, man. Alfonso Allen, man,
they got him. He like third. He's in third team right now. He's buried.
He was on the field last year. He was a menace, though. Am I lying? Was it me or was I just a little drunk at the game?
He's a gamer. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, he's a gamer, but I think it's only a matter of time for to figure it all out, bro. And he's one of the strongest kids in the country, if not the SEC. I think the strength and condition coordinator is saying he's like one of the strongest players in the SEC, pound for pound. It's only a matter of time for that borderline, high 4-star almost a 5-star kid that's a freak in the gym. It's only a matter of time before he put it together, and it sounds like he's starting to put it together a little bit. So we'll see.
Josh Newberg's here, but you guys see the video of VB3 stepping up?
Yeah, I see him trying to lead out there.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
I love it. G-Ville native doing G-Ville things, man, taking over the city the right way.
You sound like it's supposed to sound, man. You get him in Miles Graham kind of leading the troops, man. That's like storybook shit, man.
I'm about to say that it don't get no better than that. Like,
sound like a movie, man.
I mean, if Ben Hanks does start, you have 3 legacies starting.
Yeah, that'd be
on the Gators. So 3 of your starting 22 are legacies.
And even to go back to your point on how Napier recruited well, I don't know if I want to talk about him too much, but even through my time and being at school, I think like each of the new coaches benefited off the old coaches roster. Like when Matt came in, Matt made them 2 SEC championships because of Champ's defense. Like when Mullen came in, we had the offensive weapons to do it. We just needed the right play calling to be called. And look at that, what he did in his time to be able to flourish off of. Because you saw once all his players and all his guys started coming in, that's what got him fired. Everybody was complaining he couldn't recruit well. We have enough talent, et cetera, et cetera. The play calls are still good. You just don't got the right guys running it no more. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is another scenario where we're going to benefit off the coaching staff's last great recruits with a new amazing coach to come in and do something that the last coach couldn't do, which was like coaching up great players and putting them in a position to be where they're at and to their strengths. You know, I think that's the thing we kind of fell off on last year. We had a very talented roster, but we did not play to our players' strengths at all. We kind of just was like, this is what we do, this is how we do it, and we're gonna do it like this, regardless of what your builder prototype is. Yeah.
It just stunk, bro.
And I mean, when you do that, it's kind of hard. It's like trying to make Shaq shoot a 3 in basketball. Like Shaq don't do that. Get him in the paint.
It felt like I was watching Shaq shoot 3s every Saturday. That's exactly what it felt like.
Thank you. That's how I felt. Like
I was like, what is this?
Oh man. Right. All right. Well, let's get Newberg on. But yes, shout out Brandon. Bet and Zendamela both did look like leaders in the Gauntlet video. Go check it out. It's on the Gators social media page. But before we welcome our friend Josh Newberg on, go visit our friends over at Game Time Sidekicks. Get a cool cup like this. Go visit Game Time Sidekicks like what Jordan has with Corey. You like this one, huh?
Hell yeah. Neutral always go hard. Can't go wrong with that.
GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout to get 20% off of your order. It's going to keep your hot drinks hot and your cold drinks cold. And for Newberg, you're waiting. They do have Florida State there. So if you want to go buy one, the promo code works for a bunch of different schools. So again, go to GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale. And with that, we welcome our friend Josh Newberg, who's the On3 National Senior Video Producer and host. 12 years prior to On3 of covering Florida State for Knowles 247, and now he is covering recruiting, transfer portal, coaching changes, and NIL. Josh, man, it is a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, what is up, boys? I think I was on this show years and years ago, but if not, you know, it's my debut. But I don't think it's my debut.
I think it's your video debut, though.
Yeah,
we might have had you in the audio.
Yeah,
for sure on that.
I forgot we were dinosaurs in this thing before they had. I forgot there was even just audio.
Stadium and Gale audio. I got to go look it up.
The Stadium.
Yeah, just audio.
Definitely that. Where's Nick?
We'll tell you.
We suspended him.
Yeah. HR violation.
He lied about baseball, so we had to suspend him, man.
Josh, we're going to talk a lot of national recruiting. Obviously, Florida still learning Jon Sumrall. Jon Sumrall still learning the recruits that they're going to go after. But there's been
people still talk recruiting?
People still talk recruiting. It still has to happen. You know what I mean?
Not really, man.
It still has to happen. We don't talk much about it, but that's why we had to bring you on.
That's why we have this.
Well, that actually is a good question. Let's start there. Like, we'll talk about the players that Florida's recruiting in a second, but like, how important is like high school recruiting now versus the portal? Like, we've seen it now over the last 5 years with NIL. We've seen everything happen with the transfer portal. Like, what's your opinion on how you tackle recruiting in this day and age if you're a school like Florida?
I think it's still important. I think it's still the lifeblood of a program. Like a lot of the best players on a lot of the best teams were recruited out of high school. Like Jeremiah Smith came out of high school to Ohio State. He's not available in the transfer portal. So, you still got to get the elite talent, but also for budgetary reasons as well. It's easier. I shouldn't say easier, but it's cheaper to get a high school recruit than it is a transfer portal player, especially if you're looking for a starter. So it's still important, but like the transfer portal, they kind of play into each other. They're kind of like part of the same equation. What you do in high school is going to kind of supplement, or vice versa, what you do in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
they're paying big bucks for high school guys still. I mean, top line guys out of high school are making $1 million. Like often, yeah.
What do you think about like quarterback recruiting? Like, do you think it's wise for them to spend 7 figures on a guy if that may not contribute for a year or two? Because lately the older guys in college football have been more successful.
Yeah, but sometimes it's like they eat their own. It's like they pay $1 million for this quarterback, and then a year later they take a guy in the transfer portal, and then he moves, and it's like they knew he was going to leave. It's crazy. These teams got more money than they say they do, because they will willingly go all out for this quarterback out of high school, and then immediately bring in a transfer portal guy and piss him off, and they don't care. And
Well, and what we're seeing also is like schools paying kids a lot of money out of high school. Those kids maybe are buried on the depth chart, or maybe there's not really much of an opportunity for them to play. Well, because they didn't play that year and they didn't have the stats, all of a sudden it's like, hey, we want you to come back, but maybe the price tag isn't as high as it was before trying to get you out of high school. So then you're balancing the feelings component of it. And do you feel slighted? I mean, that's something that we've heard and we've seen many players transfer because of that exact same reason.
Yeah. I think that they both play into each other, but sometimes it just doesn't make any sense, and teams are just going to do what they're going to do. And a lot of times, because the coaches know they have a year or two left, they're not waiting on the guy that they just recruited. They're going to go to the portal and get a portal player. But in terms of covering recruiting and fan interest, it's still there, maybe more than ever. Like, as weird as this sounds, I think college football is as popular as it's ever been in terms of name recognition because of NIL. These guys are like, we all cover the transfer portal the same as we cover recruiting, and it's like they're just known recruits. Like, instead of being some no name from Orlando, Florida, the fans know who this player is. He's making money. He's been making money. So the name recognition, I think, is like at an all-time high, even though there's like all this chaos and everything. And of course, you can hit a tipping point where things just go so off the rails in college football that fans don't want to watch it anymore. But I mean, when it's season in season, like our recruiting videos, they go crazy. And it's just because it's college football content. And, I think college football in general is just very popular.
It's funny because I talk to a lot of my friends and they're like, I've never been more disinterested in the players and the names. It's just like, I'm into the school. But like all of the metrics everywhere are like, no, you really do care about the players. You care about all this other content. It's just a weird like cognitive dissonance.
I think the fans in the Florida market, up until the Jon Sumrall hiring and in a new direction, and especially the Florida State market, like I think they have been very disenfranchised by this new model of college football that we've seen in the last 5 and 6 years. But I think other fan bases are really loving it, and they're seeing. I mean, look how Indiana won the national champion, the Indiana Hoosiers. You know what I mean? So like their fans aren't complaining about it. There's a lot of fans that aren't complaining about it, but I can certainly see how in the Big Three bubble, there's a lot of complaints about it.
Yeah, no, if you winning, then the vibes is great. If you losing in this era, if you haven't figured out NIL, then yeah, bro, like you're not really digging all the recruiting and mass exits in the transfer portal, after you just bought all these guys jerseys and merch. So Yeah, I think it's definitely more popular right now. Like there's more there are more household names and all of that because of what NIL is, how much exposure these guys get. They're on commercials. When the game go to commercials on the Saturday, now they have commercials themselves. So
yeah,
it's just a different world. Yeah,
that's a fact.
What do you think about the Florida quarterbacks, man? I know Florida's very interested in Davin Davison. And also you got your man Champ Mons. But what do you think about Davin Davison, where he may end up, who do you think leads, et cetera, and also their talents?
Yeah, I think that's where I would pencil in Florida's quarterback. And it's just like a matter of time. When are these quarterback dominoes going to drop? And like, who's going to be the first to drop? Like, I think it could be Davin Davidson to Florida. And then I think you'll see Champ Mons to like Florida State. And you could see Israel Abrams where does it go to Purdue, and you could see maybe Will Menzel pick between Auburn and Oregon. So I think it's just going to take one of these. But I mean, I would pencil in Davin Davidson as Florida's guy. I mean, that's the guy that they want if they could probably pick from, amongst their top candidates. I think it would be Davidson. So I'm ready for these guys to start committing. I think Israel Abrams might come off the board in April. So I think we could see some action here in April.
Okay. What do you think about his talent?
I mean, this is a Davin Davidson podcast, right?
Oh yeah. Dan's his spokesperson, man. Like,
I think
first I heard about him was from Dan.
Yeah, I've been on his hype train for about 3 years now, and it's cool to see him actually progress into. I think he's a number 11 overall quarterback in the country now, and I think he ends up finishing higher. And he's from this neck of the woods. He's down in Sarasota over at Cardinal Mooney, led them to a state championship last year. I mean, I have zero doubt in my mind, knowing who Cardinal Mooney plays, that they'll likely repeat with him. He has all the tools. He's really tall for a quarterback. Which almost is too tall. So it's going to be really interesting to see him. And he's 6'7", every bit of 6'7". So, you don't normally see quarterbacks that tall, but
speaking of tall, when I came back from Tampa to Nashville, I saw Felipe Franks in the airport.
Franks was like 6'7", right?
Yeah, he's tall as hell. That's how I recognize him.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if you have multiple dominoes fall in April. And I just texted you about that. So, but I think that's a huge domino, but I think Florida's waiting on a few other big dominoes. There's a lot of folks in the RPM and none other than Maxwell Hiller, who is,
I know. Would that be Jon Sumrall's first ever 5-star recruit?
As a head coach, for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't even know if when he was coaching an assistant coach, if he ever got any 5 stars.
Right. Because I said it in a video, because I was like going to say is he closing in on his first 5-star at Florida? Then I was like, this got to be I just said in the video, this is going to be his first ever 5-star recruit as a head coach, but I didn't actually do the due diligence to check on that.
Right.
But Maxwell Hiller, for those of you that don't know, his brother also is like the number 2 basketball recruit in the country, number 3 for the class of 2028. But on 3 Rivals, has him ranked as the 8th best player, number 1 interior offensive lineman. So does 247. They have him ranked as the 4th best player in the Rivals industry ranking, which is what Rivals 247 and ESPN have him as the number 4 overall player, the number 1 interior offensive lineman, and of course the number 1 player in Pennsylvania. Obviously, there's a connection to Phil Trotwine. Phil Trotwine is known as a great offensive line coach and recruiter, but when you're thinking of Jon Sumrall, head coach of the University of Florida, looking to make a splash, getting the best offensive lineman in the country is a hell of a way to start.
It's how you got to start. I mean, it's the way we just saw Mario rebuild Miami. It's the same way when Jimbo arrived at Florida State. Jimbo was this offensive-minded guy, but he went out and landed not just a good defensive line. He went out and landed the number 1 defensive lineman 3 years in a row. Eddie Goldman, Timmy Jernigan, Derek Nottie. And you're seeing that now at Florida in the trenches with offensive line. So, defensive line is going to follow. But I think if you're going to rebuild a program, it's great to go get your quarterback and you're going to get your guy in on offense and all that. But you got to rebuild the trenches.
Yeah, for sure. From a recruiting standpoint, though, where do you think Florida really stands in the SEC?
Yeah, and then there's teams that recruit like SEC teams, right? Like
exactly. I was about to say, I know the SEC
there's-
has kind of got washed out a little bit due to NIL.
Yeah, you got Oregon. It's really like
Right.
I don't even view it as like the SEC anymore. I view it as like those tier 1 programs, and obviously Florida's just outside of that. You got the usual suspects when we talk about a 5-star recruitment or a top 50 player. It's going to be, depending on what region of the country he's in, but it's going to be Oregon, it's going to be USC, it's going to be Ohio State, it's going to be Texas, Georgia.
Right.
I mean, Georgia kind of got their ass kicked in the state of Georgia last year, and maybe even the year before that, losing a couple top guys. So
yeah, for sure.
Georgia's weird. Texas Tech came in and took the number 1 pass rusher in Georgia, the number 1 linebacker in Georgia went to Texas. So it's kind of weird, but with what Georgia's doing and their approach, we'll see how that pans out over the next couple of years.
Right.
But I think Florida's in that like 2nd or 3rd tier right now when it comes to firepower on the trail. Like, they got this great relationship with Maxwell Hiller. He brings in the relationship with Leighton Von Brandt, the other offensive lineman. So there's ways to get there without necessarily competing for the top 50 players in the rankings.
Do you think we follow the same calendar where we start to see most of these players commit really towards the end of spring, summer, and then kind of shut it down going into the fall? I mean, not everybody, but we just seem to see that trend over the last couple of years where we've seen a lot more activity in the summer than we used to.
Yeah. June, July, and August is the new October, November, December.
Yeah.
And like, we're going to treat it as such. We're going to have a big summer event where kids come on our channel and all commit on the same day. Like, we're going to kind of treat June, July, and August like it's almost like signing day period, because it kind of is for the most part. By the end of August, 90% of your class, 95% of your class is in the boat. And now with NIL, we're still seeing flips, but like not as many. And if they do happen, they're like on signing day, like Jared Curtis and the corner that flipped from Ohio State to Oregon. But I think that these guys are taking official visits now. We're going to see a big group of recruits holding spots in April. And then we're going to see like the elite of the elite making their decisions in June and July for the most part.
All right. So we're going to go to Ruby's Elixir in August, and we expect you to come down and put one up in the air with Corey.
Live show.
A live show. Want to give a shout out to Ace Wade. Hold on 1 second, Corey. Ace Wade gave us a super chat. Ace, big fan of the Big 3 roll up. Obviously, big fan of you. Do my eyes deceive me? Do I see a Big 3 roll up reunion? That's happening in real time. And then we got a classic F-Berg.
It's a freebie too. At least throw some money behind that.
Throw some money behind.
Take care of the bar.
Well, he gives us money every month, so no, we appreciate that. He's I don't know, the membership. So anyway, go ahead, Corey.
So that's the new panic season, because I know we're not ranked high right now in recruiting. So when should fans like hit that alert button or the panic button if the class not ranked in top 15, top 20-ish?
If you don't think you're going to go out and win August, like by the time the season starts, if you think, like, for example, if you're like a team like Florida State, I mean, if you're thinking Mike Norvell is going to get fired at the end of the year, you got to have all that hay in the barn before the season starts, because you're not going to be adding big pieces to it. You might lose some, you might not lose some, but whatever you got heading into the season. Now, if you're optimistic about your season and you think you're going to be out and being aggressive, if you're a little bit sluggish like last year, Ohio State coming off the national championship, they were kind of sluggish a little bit, or were they just waiting, to pick? And Ohio State fans starting to panic a little. But then by mid-October, I mean, they were just taking guys off commit lists left and right. So because they went out and had a big season and backed up their national championship. So just depends, what are you, prey or predator by the time that the season's going?
Right.
You follow national recruiting a lot. You bring on Jon Sumrall, Buster Faulkner, Brad White, Marcus Davis over from Auburn, Phil Trotwine. You've got some guys that are known as good recruiters. Like, talk to us a little bit about their reputation, outside of what fans have heard so far.
Well, I think the great part is considering Jon Sumrall came in and he's not from the state of Florida and all that, everybody always makes the big deal about like recruiting the South. But like really with NIL, you got to recruit nationally. And I think just having a guy like Phil Troutline come in and the connections he's got on offensive line almost make the class. You know, those other guys are going to get their guys on campus. They're going to recruit well, but like the offensive line, especially after the results you guys saw with 2 coaches on the offensive line, it's great. I mean, how great is it to see one coach do what 2 coaches could not even fathom doing?
We weren't even in discussions for 5 stars. We were barely in discussions for 4 stars. It was like we were lying on the show, be like, he's got the measurables. You know, it takes a while for offensive linemen to get better, but it's nice.
We was in the conversation for like Jordan Seaton and some guys, but I just think they value like money wise other positions. I thought they thought they could develop up O-line and they should spend more money in the wide receiver room. I think their philosophy was just like most of their philosophies about every single most things was just a little off, man. I just think their philosophy was a little off. But
so I also think like recruiting's coming back. I know this sounds crazy, but I think recruiting's coming back. And there's probably a business term for this, Dan, but I think like there's a market being established where each position is only going to garner so much money. Like teams aren't going hugely above whatever somebody else is offering. So if money's equal and the things that they're offering you are equal, like recruiting kind of comes back. And I think there's definitely cases where teams will be like, okay, we're going to, you know, quote unquote, reset the market or whatever. But like, that's not happening nearly as much as it was 4 or 5 years ago because they just see the economics of a roster and it just doesn't make sense to like Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart. They're from the same coaching tree. Like they're not going to outbid each other on Jared Curtis. So they're both going to offer Jared Curtis a shitload of money and, you know, and he's going to make a decision. So I kind of think in a way, and maybe it's not necessarily recruiting, like maybe just wins on the field, but like there's another aspect to just NIL and just money, because I think teams are kind of smartening up to what each position's worth.
Yeah, you have a lot more
data talk too.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and these coaches talk.
And then I was talking with I forget one of the writers, the Gator writers, who was talking over the weekend, just about transparency with salaries, etc. Like them making that transparent for the fans, and he was going in the back and forth about it making sense, right? And he was saying it'll help the coaches when dealing with negotiations, like knowing who's offering what. And I told him from personal experience, trust me, those coaches talk about what's really being offered to a certain degree. Even though they're in competition for that kid, they're going to speak about, you know, well, you're not going to just hustle these dudes, man. They're friends.
Right. Exactly. And they want to, I mean, they want to a degree, they want to suppress the market a little bit. Like they don't want to, a little bit. Like they don't want to be like, hey, you know, he's asking for 2.1 million. And they're like, well, we offered 1.6. Like what's he, you know, they don't want him to bid 2.1 million. Like that's going to throw off all the economics. So I do think in a way, like recruiting is coming back. Also, like remember in like 21, 22, Oregon would put out like Nike NFTs that would raise $200,000 in like 5 minutes. And they would, you know, and like I just don't think that it's happening like that anymore. So I think things are kind of calming down. So like maybe interest in recruit, I don't know what's going to happen, but I just think that initial craziness is kind of coming back to earth a little bit.
I don't know if it is. I think we're gonna see another like rush of it as like guys like Mark Cuban that have alumni ties that want to get into like rich billionaire dudes that want to own a team but can't own a team. I think as guys like that get involved, it's going to be a different. I think it's more twists and turns to all of this.
Yeah, and like I said, I think college football is getting more popular. And if you get a Mark Cuban, and you know, you get some of these, it just adds another layer. Like we already follow these coaches' rivalries. We already follow the traditions, and then now you get like a famous owner involved, and it's like only another layer of like the drama and everything that people follow.
Yeah, it used to be Eddie Rojas and Riyles. No, Now we got the real big dogs in the building.
Yeah. Now we've got billionaires and
Dan,
private
can we check
equity.
in on Wallet Life or what Life Wallet? What
Life
are we
Wallet.
at?
Life
No, I mean,
Wallet?
it doesn't exist as far
Did it
as I
find
know.
a way to surpass 99% losses? Did it find a way to get past that?
No, it's, I mean, you're talking in the 99.99, the amount of money that they lost. So shout out to John. Haven't heard from him in a while. I'm sure he's doing well.
And I'm sorry for your losses. I know you were
as a shareholder, it was a tough couple of years.
Hey, you win some and you lose some.
That's right. Fortunately, I have some other wins. Are you hearing, I mean, just talking about NIL, and kind of going back to a point you made a couple minutes ago, like, are you hearing from other schools and NIL collectives, like any donor fatigue from people that are, we have the people that really wanted to get in at the beginning, and they want to be the early adopters. And then it's like, well, now you have to give this amount of money like every single year. And that money is now going up. Are we hearing any donor fatigue? And obviously you're getting some richer people involved and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. But I talk to Pete Makos in the office like every day. And one of the things I told him I think he should do is roster value. Like who are the top 5 teams in roster value, meaning like spending plus whatever their record is, and then coming up with some sort of I think that would be interesting to see, how much did USC pay to have a disappointing season, or how much did Indiana pay? Was Indiana the highest value, or was there like another team that spent even less and made it to the playoffs? But I doubt it. But I think roster value, or whatever that term would be, it would be something interesting to follow, because you can throw a ton of money at it, and we still don't really understand or know exactly what these teams. So I think more transparency would be something that fans would. I think it'd be good. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Not to backtrack a little bit, but I want to know, I know you transitioned from being a Florida State writer, correct, to being on 3. Kind of what's a day-to-day in comparison to that versus on 3 now? Because I'm sure a lot of people have funky idea of what On 3 does or how it goes. People make fake On 3 pages, all type of crap. So
I think On 3 might hire that, guys. What is going on?
We can put you in touch with it. We can put you in touch with No 3 if you want.
Yeah, he's a Gator fan.
So for 12 years, I broke news. So I'd say the biggest difference today with what I do is if it's Sunday night and my phone rings, it meant it used to mean hopping up, getting on my computer and breaking the news. Now it's I see the news break. I look at my phone. I was like, oh, we'll talk about that tomorrow. And I put my phone down and I go to sleep. So I really, at this point in my life, I really enjoy covering it. I'm really just making content with the news that the network is breaking. And our network, I mean, this is why I came to On 3. I knew in 3 to 5 years we would look completely different. And here I am in year 4. And just the recruiting, we have almost a monopoly on the national guys in recruiting. And I knew eventually, because everybody's in contracts and everybody has their own timeline when they can come over, but everybody's going to come to work for Shannon Terry and On 3 that gets offered. It's just a no-brainer. So it just took a little while. And I came over in 2022. The company started in 2021. And I also started at 24/7 Sports when 24/7 Sports started in 2010. So, if we were on the same timeline as 24/7 Sports, in year 4, it went from 24/7 who to 24/7 Sports in year 4 was the authority on recruiting, and this is where we go for that. And I think it On 3, it's quickly becoming that. Here we are in year 4, and I think it's going to be the same timeline as 24/7. It's just a matter of time before people realize, if Nike was making a great product and all their designers went to Adidas, how long would it take the public to realize that Adidas is now making the better product? It would take a couple years, because the brand is so strong, and we built that brand at 24/7, and it is strong. And so it's it's fun. It's fun to be at this part of it and see the people in the office. I share a set with Josh Pate and JD Pickell, and I sit next to Kirk Herbstreit's son. What the hell? Zach Herbstreit. I sit next to Zach Herbstreit in the office. I talk to Pete Makos every day. Like it's like it's like a frat house in there. It's
I was about to
hilarious.
say, it sounds like it's all the boys just doing what they do best, talking ball, man. I love it.
Sounds like cleaned up corporate bar stools, man.
And like I miss the Florida State stuff, and I miss the rivalry talk, and I certainly miss the fans and like all that. But like breaking news every day is a living, like that's a young man's sport, and I did it at a high level for 12 years, and now it's like I know how to pick the stories that are, and so it's a grind, but it's a different grind. But I'm glad that like I'm not doing that anymore.
Don't blame you. Corey, Jordan, you guys got any questions before we let Josh enjoy his evening?
No, that's it, man. Thanks for pulling up, my guy. Appreciate it.
And this is, me and Corey talked about this, but this is the 10. I don't know if reunion, but 10 years ago we started the Big Three roll up in like October or November. So when October, November rolls around, it'll be 10 years. That's when we started.
Crazy. It's nuts. I was talking to somebody today, and they were like, "Oh, you're still doing your podcast?"
10 years, Jordan.
That's insane. I was just stepping foot on game. I was just stepping foot in Gainesville 10 years ago.
Dude, we're
it ain't hard to stay relevant for 10 years, man. This shit ain't easy, man.
We're what, 6 weeks away, 7 weeks away from Stadium and Gale being around 7 years.
I still remember being at the Nike camp at American Heritage when Jordan was like a junior.
Yeah,
I was there at the
I was there.
Yeah.
Funny story.
I was there.
I wasn't even supposed to be out there. My coach literally called me that morning, like, "Hey, you're coming to this camp."
Because Nike probably paid your coach because you were already a 5-star.
That made a lot of sense. At the time, I didn't know. I was like, "Bro, what are you talking about?" And he's like, "Come on."
Coach is getting that brown paper bag money for sure, man.
Nike was like, "Yo, we're at American Heritage. You better get him there. He can, we'll like it'll be free, but here we'll give you whatever."
Yeah, I definitely didn't pay $1. Sorry, Nike, if I'm exposing business, but I did not.
So 10 years.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy. Stadium and Gale is almost 7 years old. It's crazy to think what was. And I mean, I remember we were talked about it at the beginning of the show, but I came by when you guys were at Ruby's Elixir, and that was probably 8 or 9 years ago for signing day. And you, Berg, TJ, Kev were there, and that's back when we would live stream these recruit announcements, right? And I came in suit and tie every day or every time just to shoot the shit for an hour or two, but it was a ton of fun, man, and glad to see that you're doing well. I'm sure everybody knows where they can follow you, but if they don't, let everybody know where they can follow you on social media.
I think it's Josh _Newberg on Twitter. I was Josh Newberg 247 because I created my Twitter account when I got the job at 24/7. So
that's crazy.
Josh Newberg 247. Luckily, when I left, Josh _Newberg was available. So.
I should have grabbed it and charged you, bro.
I knew this time not to put on 3 at the end of my.
No, you gotta brand yourself solo, dog.
Yeah, 2010 I wasn't as brand smart as I am now.
Well, that's what everybody did. They would be on 3 or 247 or Rivals or Bleacher Report or whatever it was. Everybody's tag was to where they wrote. So, but Josh, we appreciate you for coming on. I'll see you next month, and thanks for joining us. It was fun to have you back on.
See you, man.
See you, dude. Josh Newberg with On 3. Go check his stuff out. It's going to be a lot of national recruiting. With that, we do have another guest waiting for us. But before we do that, let's give one quick shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Go visit homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium15, or Stadium15, pardon me. Get 15% off of your order and free shipping. 6 pages of Florida Gator stuff that are available for you. Go check them out. Over 100 different schools. If you're looking to buy any gifts for anybody in your life, go check out homefieldapparel.com and use promo code Stadium15. And with that, we are going to welcome the former director of NIL strategy for the University of Florida Athletic Association, who is now head of NIL sports and entertainment for Sandberg Phoenix. You guys all know him, Ben Chase. Ben, it is a pleasure to have you on, my friend.
What's up, guys? Appreciate you having me on. It's a tough act to follow Josh Newberg and you guys had Josh Pate, I feel like I gotta rename myself to something Josh. The guy from Homefield is also Josh John. Shout out to Homefield.
There's just a lot of Joshes out there, man.
Too much Josh going on.
Yeah, well,
got to get Josh Thompson on.
Famous country music singer Josh Thompson,
Senior Director of Football for Operations for Football.
Oh, okay. Well, I had my mind in a completely different place. Josh Thompson, one of my favorite 2010s country music singers. But Ben, want to talk? Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about what you're doing now and everything else. But one of the conversations we had with Josh was just about the change of NIL over the last, number of years and how schools are strategizing around the changes and what schools are doing to combat maybe donor fatigue or just the change of maybe what everybody thought NIL was when it was incorporated, 5 years ago. They call them collectives now because of the Gator collective. Like, I don't think anybody thought that that's where NIL was kind of going, and that's where it is. But, you got involved with NIL early. You got involved in 2021, where you're Director of National Strategy and Programming for NIL for Blueprint Sports. But talk to us a little bit about, the last 4 years or so or 5 years of changes in NIL and, kind of weave that into your time there at UF.
Yeah, it's crazy to say. I mean, Josh said it earlier too. Like, we went from like the NIL NFT era to like where we are now. I mean, NILs, when I got to Florida, they were still trying to pitch NFTs to with our athletes. You know what NFT stands for me? No freaking thanks. I'm good. That's one of those things where, we were in a spot where there was also, and this is still today, but like a lot of, these companies that are trying to buy future earnings of athletes, for upfront payments. Obviously we had a national issue at Florida before I got there, but we were able to protect our athletes, after I got there, which was huge. There's a lot of those companies, including, alumni that are investors in some of these big companies that we were able to say no to respectfully. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster. And what you said earlier about, donor fatigue, it's one of those things. When I worked with Jed Fish at Arizona, his number one donor went to Michigan State and was cutting nonprofit checks because that's what you would do back then. And you would still do it. Like, there's going to be people out there like a Mark Cuban, like a whoever that, Larry Ellison, that, you shake their couch and there's $2 million, $5 million, $20 million under there. So there's going to be those kind of guys, and you just got to accept that. In this new role, someone asked me, if I was going to be afraid of the big dogs, bigger law firms or bigger whatever. And that's not I don't think about that because that's not a competitive way to think. Like, I'm coming out here and coming out hot. So, from Blueprint Sports and, we scaled collectives there. That, Gator Collective, like you said, was the first. And then I helped build like 7 of them. And then, I lived in a van and got hired at Florida, and people, shit on Florida for hiring a guy in a van. But I didn't see anyone shit on me when I got a new job. So shout out to it's been a roller coaster. But yeah, that's probably a little bit of a ramble, but can answer any questions. It's just, it's bittersweet because, Florida's a dream job, and it's, where I grew up and became, who I am today. And I learned a lot there, and, I have a lot of relationships with athletes and staff and coaches. But, it was time for me to kind of bet on myself and make a new move.
I like it. So what like just skills and just knowledge that you gain during your time at UF that's going to help you like transition out to like what you're doing now in NIL?
I think the biggest thing is how to get things done at a university. One of the things I'm doing at Sandberg is helping NIL startups and true startups, build brands and surround not just NIL, but in college sports. Part of my role at Florida was I was in marketing meetings, comms meetings, IP, MMR, sales. Like, I had touch points with everyone on campus, including, the international center. Before I got there, NIL with international athletes was NO. Like, we didn't do anything. And now if you look at our women's team, women's basketball team, men's basketball team, like even football, we have a big, amount of international athletes. And if you look at some of the Final Four teams in men's basketball right now, they're basically minor league, or they're European basketball teams. And I don't think if we were as aggressive when I got there, we would be where we are now when it comes to that. So I think that's one thing. And two, one of my goals is, I'm working with someone who has connections to a South American country, and we want to bring a college football game to a different South American country that's not Brazil. So I'm going to be working with the Minister of Tourism and Sport and try to and I know fans are probably going to hate that we don't want to go to South America, but this is professional sports now. College sports are professional sports, and if you plan it out early enough in advance, I think it's exciting for fans to be able to go travel, and not give up a home game or get paid to give up an away game to go somewhere else. 2 or 3 years in advance, where you can plan in advance and make it a fun opportunity. So I think my new opportunities are going to be a lot more vast than just the Florida Gator logo. Mind you, I'm wearing Final Four shirt from last year with all our athletes' names on it. Yeah, that's kind of where my head's at. It's scary, but it's exciting. And Corey and I have talked offline about different opportunities that have come up in the past. And I turned down a job to move to Columbus at one point, and they won a national championship the season before I got there. But this was kind of the right one for me. I told them when they were talking to me that, hey, I have a great position, so it's got to be the Godfather offer and the best opportunity for me to leave. I'm still in Gainesville, so I'll be here at least through next summer. I signed a lease a week before I got the job offer.
Nice.
I'm not moving to Phoenix. The name is Sandberg Phoenix, but that doesn't mean it's in Phoenix. It's the guy's last name.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's another part of it. But I live in Celebration Point. So if you ever want to pregame at my place and then walk over to Spurrier's, it's an open invite.
Well, you guys heard it here.
Invite me, bro. I sent that group. I sent that text out, man. That mass text, bro. It turned into an old school kegger.
Yeah, I mean, I got an unopened bottle of that Florida Victorious bourbon or whiskey or whatever it is, and some. I'm a añejo tequila guy now, so extra añejo.
Okay.
But
wow,
slide through.
Now you're in my world. Let me ask you this: what's your real quick, Joy? What's your thoughts on, or what's your just overall opinion? So some of these schools are starting to have NIL agencies, not like a collective, but they're starting to have in-house agencies versus an independent agencies. What's your view on just that whole lens?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I tried to help build at Florida before I left, was an in-house agency. And we kind of got there a little bit with what they're doing with 2 Bits Creative, not fully, and that's not in-house. But I do think that, under the leadership they have now in the administration, I mean, if you look online on Florida Gators website, they're hiring 3 directors of partnerships and NIL, which are going to be sales positions for NIL opportunities. So I think we're going to be very aggressive there. On a national scale, I think there's a lot of pressure on Learfields and Playflies and these third-party MMR companies, which for those that aren't aware, they're the ones that sell all the sponsorships in the stadiums and everything. But now they're being tasked to find even more revenue. And some of the bigger schools and more progressive schools are actually reorganizing those contracts or canceling them. So if you look at Arizona or Vanderbilt or Clemson, all of their stuff is in-house. And Clemson just got a big, pat on the back for what they're doing in the creative space. And my friend actually just left there. She was the VP of NIL and took a job with Fanatics. But I think athletic departments are trying to control every dollar instead of sub-licensing out opportunities. But going back to your question about agencies, I do think it's one of those things where the goal would be to, have the rev share and then have a third party like a Raising Cane's or a Morgan and Morgan or a insert whatever company. You come to their school, LSU. I pick on LSU a lot because they have walk-ons and Raising Cane's. So when you go there, you're going to get your rev share, you're going to get your collective deal, and you're also going to be an ambassador for Raising Cane's. And that's the competitive advantage that they have. And if you look at what they just did, I mean, their governor shook down his constituents to get all the money for their new coaches and all their new players. So and that's how he's going to get reelected, right? So there's a lot of politics in this too. That'll be interesting to watch, and everything in DC and Texas, and you have states no more income tax or whatever. So there's just a lot of crazy things right now. But the agency part, it's the next arms race in the NIL space.
Yeah, that's for sure. I would say what's something maybe fans kind of misunderstand about NIL in general or just NIL at Florida. You know, I feel like oftentimes they think they know what they're talking about when it comes to NIL and what's going on with deals, etc. But what's maybe something you can enlighten them on like some behind the scenes stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, this is something that came on my heart actually this week is, you know, we had a quarterback leave, but they left a legacy. I mean, that quarterback cut $100,000 plus check for women's sports. And if you look at the women's sports right now in this spring semester, they're doing really well. Gymnastics is 2 weeks away potentially from winning a national championship. Softball is ranked top 5 in the country. And like, you know, that was the first time that's happened. Like, you know, an athlete cutting a check back to their collective, that's unheard of. And that's something that we've kind of built a spirit of, hopefully that there's, you know, future athletes to do that. But on the other side, I mean, it's really hard to build a program when the donor pool is very small, going back to donor fatigue. Like, you know, Coach Sumrall is doing a great job. Coach Golden's doing a great job. Coach Walton's doing a great job. But they're also kind of, you know, having to rub shoulders with the same people, right? And they're fishing in the same pond. However, there are coaches, and I'm not going to name every coach, whatever, but like there's coaches that if they can find a way to have people care about them as a coach and not the logo on their chest, that's going to move their program even farther. And that's something we've been working on with some of the programs, but it's just really hard. I mean, obviously every coach wants every coach to win, but it's really hard to like see the same donor sitting courtside at one event that is also planning to cut you a check, because that money can only be stretched so far. So I think that's one of the hard parts. But I will say in 2026, the best coaches are charismatic youth pastors that can go out and do, you know, the talking side, but also on the back end, have the right people in place to, you know, move the money where it needs to be, one, and two, like have real conversations with parents, athletes, and staff.
All right. Sound like Billy Napier. I'm just saying.
Great.
I got one question. Like, I gotta ask this because I always wondered this because I've met people from Learfield and I've been in conversations about them. So when multiple schools hire, like especially in the same conference, right? Mm-hmm. How do they prioritize who they go and get deals for when they're working for multiple universities? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, I think that so there's Learfield National, and so Gator Sports Properties is like the brand of the Florida Gators. Then there's Bulldog Sports Properties and whatever sports properties. And if you search Florida Gator sponsors, the website will come up and it'll show national sponsors. And that's normally a sales piece that was sold at a lot of their schools. Like, for example, the Chipotle deal for our athletes, it was also at Ohio State and at Georgia, right? So like that's part of that. But in Gainesville alone, we have a sales team just focused on the Gators. So like we're not really worried about what other, you know, teams are doing. You know, when I was at Florida, which, you know, it's crazy to say when I was at Florida, it was like 3 weeks ago. But you know, my friend, you know, I a lot of people didn't know this. I led a call of 40 NIL directors across the country. Oklahoma, Ohio State, Georgia, UCLA. Like I could call them anytime and say, hey, what is your Learfield team doing here? Why are you hiring 3 Learfield staffers and not in-house staffers? And kind of just understand that. But no, I think that's a good question. And it's one of the hard parts right now. I do think that Florida is in a good spot trying to figure out how to maximize the dollars attached to the logo that are going to the athletes. And that's where that's going to impact winning. For example, if, you know, Publix, you know, gets the jersey patch logo, they'll probably, you know, 2 years ago, it was, you know, let's say $2 million that just went in a rev share to Learfield and the Gators. But now it's probably going to be, you know, $2 million with less to Florida, less to Learfield, and like, you know, a high percentage going to pay the athletes to be like in Publix commercials or on, you know, photo shoots with Publix gear. So that's kind of where we're at with it now.
Yeah, and I know Florida hired a new chief commercial officer, probably 4 or 5 months ago to lead that charge. Yeah. Maybe not even that long ago.
I think his first game was – we played Texas last year, right? I think his first game was Texas. Yeah.
So about 5 months ago, and that's going to be his goal. Ben, just from a business perspective, this is just something that I've always wondered. How are companies and businesses that are doing NIL tracking ROI? Do a lot of them care right now about ROI? I mean, what kind of information are you providing for them, or are they providing you back to UF to say, hey, we're going to keep going, we're going to increase, we're going to decrease? Like, what's that all look like?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the company. If it's a true marketing deal, like the KPIs, like key performance indicators, what KPI stands for, are it's not new. It's influencer marketing. It's views, engagement, shares. If it's a store in Gainesville, it's foot traffic in the store, right? But if it's a company that, the main donor or the main alumni person is a Gator, they just want to feel cool, right? And the coolness factor, like Corey said earlier, and it's I normally used to call you Silk, but it is what it is. Did you like drop the Silk? I don't even know. But we can talk about that later.
Probably whatever, man. It don't matter, man. I'm an artist formerly known as Silk, bro, like Prince. It don't matter. I answer to all of it.
There's companies that, like I said, for LSU, the owner and founder of Raising Cane's probably doesn't care about the KPIs and the impact he's having. He's getting a championship ring when they win a championship. There's a video of women's basketball at LSU giving the local law firm like a championship ring because he helped buy them a championship, right? So, but when it comes to true marketing deals, there's deliverables that they care about. So like, hey, like we're going to give you $20,000 to shoot, 5 commercials at Gallo Car Wash with these 7 athletes, right? And if you look on, you saw Tommy do a video with Gallo Car Wash, Blake Sear for basketball or baseball. And what's crazy is, some of these athletes, they're taking lower than their rate to be a part of that. Like Tommy's agent said this is his rate for this type of deal. He's normally not going to do it. And Tommy's like, I want to do this commercial. So like, that's the other part of it too. Like some people say, oh, like, this athlete costs $20,000 to do an Instagram post. But we had athletes at Florida with 140,000 followers that would post on their story that they just got a free car wash, which cost, $7, or they're promoting a local restaurant because it's their favorite restaurant just to get a free meal. So it really depends on the business. And I really think when people think about NIL, it's pay for play. But when it comes to like influencer marketing, the companies that have a real, Fortune 500, they probably care more about the deliverables. Good question.
No doubt.
Yeah.
What's something? We all start talking at the same time. Go ahead.
Jordan, actually, can I have a second answer to your question earlier. About like people don't know, like tampering is in like every sport now. Like it's not just football and basketball. It's in every sport. Like we had athletes that were getting talked to 1 week into the season in other sports. Bro. So it's insane, and it's trickling down because this year is the first year schools could actually pay directly from the school. So what does that mean? That means there's more money in the market. That means the price just went up on everyone, right? So that's something that no one really thinks about and talks about. And there's a lot of doomsdayers out there, and they're like, oh, like these sports aren't profitable or whatever. They were never profitable. Like barely men's basketball programs are profitable. Football is profitable, but like at every other school, I mean, South Carolina women's basketball has a $6 million in the red, but at the same time, it's like they're paying their coach, I don't know how much, $8 million or whatever. So it's
too much money, yeah.
So it's one of those things where if you throw a logo on things, like you maybe can get the break even, but 20 years ago they were losing money too. So it's like, what are we talking about? Like in this current era, with the professionalization of college sports and, USF, Jordan, your other alma mater, like saying, hey, like this is a business now. And I really think that, is it Higgins, the AD there? He's doing a good job.
Higgins,
Tampa guy. But like he sees where this is going. And that's where there's a lot of, progressive opportunities for those schools that like theirs is a little smaller. I mean, their coach left for Providence, which has a $10 million rev share budget for basketball because they don't have football. And that's another part of this. Like everyone's like, oh, the mid majors are dying. If they want to spend $18 million just on basketball, they can do that. But they'll probably be in the red, right? So
that's a fact.
yeah. So like but that's where we are. You have this, this salary cap of $20.5 million that goes up this year by 4%. And, at a school that doesn't have football, you can say, hey, we're going to do $19 million for men's basketball and $1 million for women's basketball and, $50K for gymnastics or track or cross, right? And kind of go for it. You may lose money every year, but you may be, what is it? What do they say? Banners are priceless.
Exactly. Straight up. I think it was Dan's turn though. Dan, I'm gonna let you get your question in.
No, you can go ahead, Jordan.
Okay, this is my last one. I just wanted to say, if I know a lot of people have a lot of debates and what they think they should do with NIL. I just want to know what is one rule that you maybe will apply to NIL to think to trying to fix the whole grand scheme of it? Because I know it's a lot of good and a lot of bad. Just kind of wanted to know your take on NIL and what do you think we can do to fix it?
It's not going anywhere. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, and it's a long time coming. It's crazy to say, like, if the NCAA let athletes be have their names in NCAA, 12 years ago, who knows where we'd be? You can also blame Eddie Rojas for collectives. So all NIL is terrible because of Eddie Rojas. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, he pushed it forward, to be fair.
Yeah, he did.
He pushed it forward. And so, my
take
is
we pushed it forward, man. Me and Eddie came up with that idea in the Cush House.
Yeah.
In Orlando.
Crazy.
My studio, brother.
They're
we
the
pinned that
NIL
idea
Corey
together.
Collectives. The Corey Collectives, that's what they're called.
There you go.
I'm laying out the history of it, man. That's what happened.
It's all
we was in Orlando. I still got the videos, man.
I only have a job in NIL because of you guys.
We in the straight up.
Like I would have down idea. That's where
the content piece came in at, right? The collective was based around players delivering content, and then fans contributing money. Like, yeah, me and Eddie pinned that idea at the Cush House. It was a good time, and we changed NIL. That's history.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and what's crazy is, like, when I was at Blueprint, I always said the best collective is going to be the ESPN of their town, ESPN of Spokane, Washington, the ESPN of Tucson or Gainesville. And like, now, what did we just ask? In-house agencies, the front office sports. Oh, this school has 100 creatives. Like, yeah, like we, Corey and Eddie were at the forefront of that. And then, I probably put my foot on the gas, helping literally scale them nationally. But going back to your question, I think the answer lies where we started. It's with the athletes. And I think it's one of those things where, like, there's all these decisions being made, Tuberville and all this stuff, like, hey, like, one free transfer, but there's no athletes at the table. And, I said that on Twitter the other day, and they're like, well, they're going to be gone by the time it's done. That's not the point. Right. And it's, collective bargaining is, it's kind of taboo to bring it up, and employment and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, like, if you're going to have athletes that are basically employees, and Dartmouth, when they had their challenge for men's basketball, the court said they are employees. Like, some of this is going to come to a head. And then I say this kind of hypo a lot, but there's going to be there's going to be a dad of a backup left tackle at Notre Dame that's going to be like, what do you mean that football only gets 75% of rev share? And what do you mean the volleyball player that transferred here is making $400,000? No, we're going to take all that money. And there's probably going to be a lawsuit challenging that all that money should go to football and maybe 2% to men's basketball, and everyone else is back to scholarships. And that's going to be something that happens. And in my role now, I'm trying to get ahead of that.
Don't have a conflict with Title IX?
That's the other part of it, right? So, like, Oregon's women's, a lot of the athletes at Oregon are suing on that. And I don't even think that case has been fully settled on the Title IX part. But then is Title IX equal opportunities for athletic events, or is it equal opportunities for pay? Is it equal, so I think there's a lot of trickle down there. And that's where, in my new role, I'm going to be trying to be a part of, whether it's working with, conferences and representing them in collective bargaining, working with athletes and working with them. But I can't even get athletes to sign up to go to Atlanta for free. So it's like, how are we going to get them? How are we going to get them to collectively bargain? I can barely spell collective. What did you say?
They got money now, man. They go to Aruba, Japan, all type of places. I seen Wild Spring break, just vacations I never seen before.
Yeah,
I got a question. Like fans, go ahead.
And I do think that this is something that's not talked about, and is like Savannah Bailey and Gator Made, like they go on an annual international trip every year, and that's not part of rev share. So like if I'm a recruit and it's down to Florida and Tennessee, and it's like, hey, I'm going to pay you $100,000 to go to Florida, $100,000 to go to Tennessee. The state taxes are basically the same, but I get to go on a trip to China, or I'm not guaranteed, but I have the opportunity to. Like that could move the needle just a little bit, right? Also,
well, I know that there was a recruit in this class, and I'm not going to say his name, but like he was very highly interested in Florida because of Gator Made and because of some international travel potentially back to where his family's from. So it does make a difference. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, I know a lot of fans ask this. So do you plan to see an uptick in like the businesses and the partnership that the university have? Like the university being able to leverage maybe, the Gatorade relationship or the Jordan relationship into like the top tier players that are coming out of high school ranks or even in the portal, being able to use those brands, whether it's Adidas, Nike, Jordan, Prime Energy Drink, those top brands like that.
Yeah, I think that you're seeing a lot of like shredding and of these partnerships and contracts with like the brands that our teams are rocking. I mean, didn't Tennessee just go back to Adidas? Penn State go to Adidas, and historically the contract with Jordan and Nike, we get like $2 million of free merchandise, right? As part of like the thing. These schools are saying, hey, we'll pay for our own merchandise, give that $2 million to our athletes, right? And they're going to use that. If you look at Texas Tech, they got the oil money, but Nyjah Kennedy, the $1 million pitcher, is in a commercial revealing their new logo in a helicopter. She didn't do that for free, right? Like she got paid to be in that commercial. And like Patrick Mahomes has his, Team Mahomes now, and like those kind of things. What'd you say?
It's Gladiator line. That's the name of his line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like Gatorade, they're obviously a Gator brand. I think that whenever that contract is up, or there'll probably be some negotiations there. I mean, it's a legacy brand for the Gators, and I think that that's something we can use. I will say that there has to be some kind of mindset shift on the value of the marks and logos and IP, and where that money goes. Because it's a two-way street. Sure, we're all fans of the Gators, but that logo was built off the players, right? That stadium that everyone is hating on right now was built because of the athletes. And I think that we have matured to the point where, hey, the athletes should get paid across the board. But at the same time, like, and I think a lot of things that we haven't talked about are multi-year contracts, opting out of contracts and those kind of things. And I think one of the most things we didn't talk about too is, performance bonuses. These are all real things happening now in the space. I'm actually going to be speaking in Citi Field in New York in 2 weeks about that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a cool thing. But yeah, I think that with going back to your question, sorry that I went on a rant. Brands are going to help in recruiting, and there have been brands on record that were willing to give the Gators equity to be a part of their logo, and instead they just did a regular sponsorship piece, and like the equity piece now is worth a lot of money. And sure. I think that Kentucky doing their LLC and kind of having a business ventures thing and not doing private equity is something that we could kind of consider here at Florida and other schools. Utah could potentially have $550 million of private equity, probably Mormon money. I don't know. But it's one of those things where, if they're going to be treating it like a business, why don't we get our, donors that are cutting checks to nonprofit to look at like buying local businesses, right? Spurrier's makes a lot of money off the Florida Gators. Like, let's call Freddie Weeby and see if we can make it more.
Good luck. Where do you think it mainly comes from? Do you think it comes from Congress? Do you think it comes from the conferences, a mixture of both? Who do you think, ultimately is the gavel on a lot of these major changes?
College sports and athletics are kind of like the government. They're very slow. I do think that it seems like Greg Sankey for SEC's commissioner and the Big Ten are they can't do any kind of collusion, but I do think that they're trying to work together to reel it in. But Sankey put out there, we're going to self-govern. We're not going to self-govern. The SEC is not going to say, hey, pat it on you're doing tampering, because it's kind of like the state laws with NIL. Like, the best state laws for NIL are no laws, right? And also, like, if you have state laws, no one's enforcing them. Like, no one in Tallahassee is like, your new role is to go, be a peeping Tom at checking all these kids at Twitters and Instagrams to see who they have sponsorship deals with. But to me, I think it does have to. It probably comes from a handful of coaches going to their conference and then saying, hey, let's figure this out. But I do think that, kind of like Coach Sumrall says, good teams are coach-led, great teams are player-led. It could be something where, a handful of athletes that may have just graduated stand up. Grant House, who the main lawsuit, House v. NCAA, they're still trying to do stuff. He actually followed me on Twitter after I announced I was going to Sandberg, and he thought I was moving to Phoenix, and said, hey, I can't wait to hang out with you in Phoenix. I was like, oh, well, spoiler. But yeah, I think it'll be a little bit of everything. And it seems like the government is moving forward on some kind of vote next week. But I think there'll be challenges to it.
Sure. Yeah. Who knows? Well, Ben, man, we really appreciate everything that you did for the University of Florida. Everybody knows Ben Chase from UFNIL. If they don't know him from there, they know him from his van ride where he visited, 77? No.
77 games.
77 games in one football season. But we know Ben as somebody that kept us honest with over-under when we first started doing it that was back in 2019, 2020. So yeah. Ben, man, it's been a pleasure, and it's been really cool to watch you grow in your career, and certainly best of luck in your next steps, my brother.
No, I'm super grateful. I really don't think I'd have my job or how successful I was on that road trip without you guys and Nick retweeting my first video, because I think he retweeted someone at SEC Network DM me about getting on there, and I don't think those things go unnoticed. I mean, I tried my best to pay it forward, whether it's amplifying what you guys are doing or connecting you with different opportunities that, Nick with Florida Victorious, and so definitely grateful. And if there's, anyone that listens to this that has questions about NIL, I mean, I try to respond to everything. And if I miss it, I will get back to you as soon as I can. So message me on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. And hopefully I can come on here and there and keep it moving.
I love it, man. Well, we appreciate you, Ben. Thanks so much for your time, and have a great rest of your night, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Go Gators. Appreciate
you, brother. Go Gators.
All right. And then with that, we are going to welcome a former Florida Gators offensive lineman, came to University of Florida from Archer High School in Georgia, joined as a defensive lineman, then ultimately moved up to the offensive line, earning starts with UF, culminating his career in 2015 at the University of Florida. Antonio Riles. Antonio, it is a pleasure to have you on, brother.
Hey, how y'all doing, man? I appreciate y'all having me on.
Good, man.
You're in great shape, boy. Look at you, boy. I almost ain't recognize you, dog. Look at you. You like a receiver.
I had to get it up off you, man.
I see you look like the pound season, man. Y'all boys lose that weight when y'all finish ball, bro. I like it.
Yeah, it's backwards. It's like the running backs get the beer guts, and we don't lose it.
That's a fact.
Oh man, Antonio, we start this question with everybody. You're originally from Georgia. You chose Florida over Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Louisville, Michigan State, others. Talk to us a little bit about how you decided on the University of Florida.
Well, for me, it was a little unorthodox, but I mean, long story short, it was out of Clemson, Georgia, and Florida, but initially, Florida was never in the picture for me. I was always a Georgia guy, Florida guy. I always thought I played defensive end originally. So I expected to be go to Clemson and be like a Daquan Bowers or, something like that of that sort, of play 3 tech, but, coming to Florida, I never really thought of it. But, at the time, Dan Quinn was here, Bryant Young was here, Muschamp was here. So, it was a good vision, moving forward. So I wanted to be a part of that vision, and we had a great group of guys coming in, and I wanted to be a part of that.
So what was that adjustment like? What was that adjustment like for you, coming from high school to UF, and then talk to us a little bit about that transition from the defensive line to the offensive line, and kind of what necessitated that move for you?
Oh, well, in terms of recruiting for me, it was kind of a funny story. I mean, well, coming out of my county, we had Alvin Kamara, we had Robert Kimdichie. We had a lot of guys coming out of Gwinnett County. So, I kind of got recruited late in the picture. I started, getting recruited my junior year. So I think my first offer was from Kentucky. But I had got recruited from when I was getting recruited at Florida, I was getting recruited by Coach Lewis, tight end coach. And he was a great recruiter, you know what I'm saying? We had a lot of great guys here, DJ Durkin, Brian Young, Dan Quinn. And I had a lot of great people in front of me, honestly. We had a heavy class when we came in. I came in with Joey, Caleb Brantley. We had already had John, Brian Cox. I think Six was there. I'm not sure if he left that year before Six was there at least 1 year that I was there. Well, Dante, sorry. We call him Six.
Yeah, Dante.
Everybody know who you talking about, bro.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, like when I came in, we had a heavy class. We was deep in the defensive line. And like when our guys, we had Trent, we had Max Garcia on the offensive line when I first came in, Jalapio, bunch of guys. But I think that one particular year, a lot of them had left, and we were kind of light on that side. And my bad, y'all, I'm sweating a little bit. I'm gonna use this, wipe this off real quick.
You good?
No, you good, bro?
Sorry, but like when I came in, Coach Muschamp, he just showed me film of the offensive line, and he pretty much was trying to convince me to be on that side. And I came here to play, in the swamp in defense. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't trying to hear that when I first came in. But eventually, I just ended up doing what was best for the team and what was best for me ultimately. And it was definitely an adjustment for me, especially the first few years, just even learning, it's totally different, if we doing anything bad, it's all on us. But if we doing anything good, it's touchdown Scarlett, touchdown Will Greer, everything else. So I understand it's a totally different side of offensive line, but I felt like, just the camaraderie, the brotherhood, just being around that, it wasn't that hard of an adjustment to make.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, I know since you made that transition, man, I wanted to just know, like, how was it once you transferred? Were you ever considering going back to D-line once you transferred? Or you was kind of just like, I'm on the offensive side of the ball and just doing me, because I've probably laid down the law over here. You probably felt a little more fresh on that side.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, I did think about it, my last year, because I actually played against Florida Atlantic as defensive line. They asked me to come back and fill in on the defensive line side. So I played one game against FAU. And, I always thought about it because, some of the people that I came in with, I think that was like Jared's last year, like it's going to be Jared Davis's last year playing. So it was a lot of guys that I wanted to play with. I always, envisioned myself. I got recruited to play here, on that side. So it was enticing. But I think, the biggest thing for me was, we didn't have transfer portal. So I had to graduate and, it was like, it was a whole bunch of stuff that I had to do to transfer. Yeah. And like, I was getting calls from Texas and Mizzou, but it just ultimately worked out with FAU. Honestly, I didn't know that I could go to those schools. I didn't really know how. I didn't even know, because I had to petition for my last year of eligibility because I tore my ACL and my meniscus. So I was trying to come back that year after that to play.
Yeah, but, I do remember you was hurt.
Yeah, I had to petition for that last year to even play at FAU. But, the way things were set up for me to go ahead and finish out at FAU. But I definitely had opportunities at Texas and Pitt. But, we didn't have a transfer portal. So.
Yeah, I already know how it go. What's one moment you think that kind of stuck with you as far as just, maybe it was a locker room moment, practice moment, something like that, just kind of always stuck with you in our time at Florida?
People always say it. We take those times for granted. We running around, everybody, we come from our respective areas. We all highly touted from our respective areas. But, like those times you never get to have again, because it's, like, I really did embrace those times. But I mean, you never could, you don't really know how it's gonna feel until you get on the other side of it. People got kids now, everyone's married. It's a bunch of different stories that go into it. It's not like I can just go pull up on Scarlight. I know where Scarlight is. That's a whole family man now. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different situation. But like even that's the thing. Like when you see those guys or you see them in person, it feels like how it was when we were in the locker room. If I see some of my teammates, it feels all the same. So definitely didn't take those times for granted for sure. But yeah, I definitely wish I could rewind the clock just for that particular time, those particular times in the locker room.
What was it like when you first got on campus, man? You first pull up to Gainesville, you away from the crib as a young man for the first time. Like, what was that first month of like adjustment, culture-wise? Like you said, a lot of those players, everybody's a big dog from the home. Competition, like all of those elements, what was it like?
I mean, I took it in. I mean, at first, it was just a lot of things, like the recruiting and, I would imagine it was a lot bigger in Florida. I mean, they would probably know each other a lot more. I didn't know as many people coming into it, but, other than hearing from recruiting, Vernon Hargraves, Kiki, Kelvin Taylor, who else came in my class? Joey Ivy, Adam Lane. It was a bunch of guys that came in, a bunch of Florida guys. So it was like a culture shock for me. But, I'm from like South Georgia, which is close to Tallahassee. So I'm kind of used to it. I got a bunch of cousins that's just like, my teammates that were at Florida. So it wasn't really that bad going down there and adjusting. But I mean, yeah, it wasn't different. It wasn't that different at all.
What was that transition like mentality-wise from like offensive line to defensive line? I'm sorry, defensive line to offensive line.
Oh yeah, big difference. That's all. Like I think like you move more calculated. I feel like offensive line, of course, they have to be a lot strong as an ox, of course. But I feel like it's a lot more calculated thinking. You know what I'm saying? And like I feel like defense is just based off of all instinct. You know what I'm saying? But for offense, you thinking that you move into a spot to get where the running back might be or eventually will get to. You know what I'm saying? So it was just thinking about things in different ways and just methodical rather than just instinct.
Let me be honest, when you made that move and they move spots like that on the opposite side of the ball, like what do you think? Did you think you made a mistake coming to UF? Did you think about other offers you probably should have taken?
Oh yeah, I mean, I most definitely went through all of those. I went through all of those thought processes. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just I didn't come here to play offensive line. You know what I'm saying? But
straight up.
That's how it was. But I mean, like I said, we didn't have transfer portal or whatever. But I mean, I committed to the school, so I stayed at the school. You know what I'm saying? And I finished out, made sure I graduated. So I was gonna stay here and do what was best for the team. And I mean, I thought about it honestly. I did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that was the biggest thing. I came here. I felt like I came here coming into it. I knew I needed development. I wanted development, and I was like, if I can get developed by Bryant Young, Dan Quinn, you know what I'm saying? I felt like it would be, a match made in heaven. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of things that I was excited for and a lot of things that I did expect. So it was definitely an adjustment to go to that side, of course, but it is what it is. I've heard about, making that position and making that move before. So it wasn't too bad.
Well, and you got the opportunity to start. Obviously, you learned the position, you did well at it, you excelled at it. Maybe everything didn't work out the way, but I mean, there's people that you beat out for a starting spot that spent their entire career trying to get that one spot, and you did it in a couple of years. So I think that shows a lot, not just about you physically in the game of football, but mentally for you as well. And I can imagine, that's something that you can at least look back on. What was your favorite game that you played in, or maybe favorite memory from a game that you played in?
For me, it's got to be Tennessee or Ole Miss, because I mean, first and foremost,
the Ole Miss game was crazy.
That Ole Miss was OD.
That was a crazy game. Because I mean, you can tell the coaches, like you can tell when you're going into a week and the coaches are scared too. We scouting this one guy. Oh, number 3, number 5 is gonna be over here. Number 5 is gonna be up. I think what number was Robert in Ole Miss? Number 5.
You got it right.
Yeah. Number 5 is gonna be over here. Y'all got to be ready. Like We, you know what I'm saying? So we already was going into it. You know, Emmitt Smith was coming to the game. I think that was game of the week or some shit like that. Oh, sorry for that.
Sure.
I'm sorry, guys. But it was just, I don't think anybody was expecting us to go out and play like that. And like, for me, like I said, I'm a defensive guy, you know, at heart. So it was just cool for me to even watch, you know what I'm saying? I felt like we was torching them on offense, but what the defense was doing was crazy. And it was, sometimes it was just like, it was like dope to even watch them. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Going into the Tennessee game, like I never felt like we would lose. It was just like, we gonna figure out a way. Like defense gonna stop them. The defense is gonna make a stop, and we just gotta go score. You know what I'm saying? We always felt like that going into it. That was kind of like the culture. You know what I'm saying? They was like the defense will hold it down. You know what I'm saying? But we just have to do. We know what the defense is gonna do, but we just have to do our part.
Right, that's a fact. So if NIL was here around our time, man, how would you think you would have approached it? I know a lot of people knowing you for being a Snapchat guy. You was viral before viral became a thing, man. I just wanted to kind of know, how would you have approached it being in this time that these kids living there now?
Oh yeah, I mean, we definitely, you know, I feel like we definitely always have this discussion, rather if it's my friends or, you know, my old teammates, because this is like, considering all the stuff that they could do now, like I laugh about it because I used to get in trouble for that. You know what I'm saying?
Bruh, coach used to come raggle you back.
We had meetings about me, you know what I'm saying? And my stuff, I was a very humble dude. I wasn't even trying to be around any, you know, like that. But it's just like I was just documenting what was around me. But, you know, it's funny. I used to get in trouble for what people get paid for now. You know, like I did uniform unveils, skits, we went around and did all types of community service, like all types of stuff. And it's just like, it's funny to see it now. You know, I would have had
couldn't have said any better, bro. You used to definitely get in trouble for what dudes are probably being encouraged to do now, right? Because now people are in the space of NIL to where, shit, I'm VB3, I'm getting paid 1 point, whatever. You telling me I got to go do a video? I don't want to do the video. The money's already in my account versus we ain't getting nothing but cost of attendance. So you right here with the camera documenting everything. Like, we was having the most fun, man. And I think it's just so crazy that they was just, obviously from a head coach's standpoint, he just wanted our locker room to be protected. He wanted our privacy of that nature. But, man, we kids, bro. This is you documenting your life and your story, like, and the people you surrounded around. And I feel like that's what fans always want to see. I think even in today's day, a lot of the NIL stuff is so commercialized where it's just crazy painted picture commercial. Fans want to see the authentic video from one dude's phone to the next, some crazy stuff going on in the locker room.
Hands being thrown.
Exactly. Like, bro, we used to have water fights, all type of BS in the locker room. The gloves come on. Everything was always fun, bro. And like, he literally got in trouble for showcasing some of the best moments, I would say, in my time at Florida, like some of the most funnest times we had.
Antonio, who had the best hands on the team in your opinion?
That's tough. We had a lot of wide receivers.
He ain't talking about catching.
He's not talking about catching the ball.
Oh, hands?
He's talking about catching hands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we talking about fisticuffs, man. Old-fashioned square up.
I heard about a lot of legends. It's fights that I like that you probably walked right past or you didn't see. But I mean, from what I heard, Michael Taylor, number 51.
Heard that name before.
Yep.
Valdez Showers.
Valdez, he was on here a couple days ago. He didn't say anything.
Yeah, he didn't mention his name.
Valdez.
Oh, he was just cutting hair. He was cutting eyelids too, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Valley D was too humble to say his own name.
I definitely heard Valdez, and I'm trying to think of who else. Oh, man. Damn. Because there's a lot of fights that you miss. Like, they happen so fast. Like, or you be in another room, you be in the ice tub or something like that just happened right there on the Gator head, and you just hear about it. Man.
Right.
I'm trying to think of somebody specifically, but I can't. But the first two names that come to mind are Valdez Showers and Michael Taylor.
Okay.
I've heard numerous stories, even like when I got there, I heard numerous stories about them, particularly.
Yeah. Do you remember running into me in Cantina?
I ain't gonna lie.
So
I
had a name change on here, so I made some jokes on Twitter about your hands. We ran into each other at Cantina.
I remember the Burger King ham Twitter. Yeah, I remember that. It clicked when you said that. Yeah, like I had to look because the screen is small. But as soon as you said that, I was like, I know exactly who Corey is.
Yeah. We ran into
be on here as well. I know who Nick Delatorre is, but
Nick can't make it today.
Mm-hmm. Man see me in Cantina. They say, you want to see how these hands work? You said my hands are small.
Nah, man, that was on the picture, man.
Getting ready to put pause.
That was. I had took a picture of a picture. Those ain't my real hands.
Yeah. Good times, man.
Antonio, what are you up to now?
I'm doing photography. I'm working in insurance. So yeah, just.
What kind of photography?
Honestly, I need to do a lot more sports photography, but I've just been dabbling, honestly. But I haven't honestly committed to one particular thing. But I do want to get into sports. So that's made me pick up the camera. I felt like I've coincidentally been always been around a camera, and I went to J school as well, but I just never utilized those skills while I was there. So just dabbling on some of the concepts that I have of my own.
What are you shooting on?
A Canon R5.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I live in Georgia, so I know it's sometimes Johnny Townsend, he invites me every year to the spring game. And I've been telling him, like, Johnny, I know I've been trying to get down there. I feel like I haven't been to the swamp since 2019. Yeah, it's been a long time. So
pull up, man. I'm gonna be there this time around, man. We all gonna have a good time. I'm getting CC out there, Ciante out there. We getting all the guys.
Union going on, boy.
Seen Ciante in a long time. I ain't seen nobody in a long time, honestly. I feel like everybody goes their separate ways, and it's like you just never. It's like, damn, like you thought, like of course we had that relationship forever, but it's just some people that like, it's just like, damn, like. Circumstances of life is just like, damn, it's just like,
trust me, bro, you ain't the only one that ain't been back since 2019. Trust me. It's probably more of us than it is. You feel me? Like, it's sad, but I think
I've been telling myself for like the last 3 years. I've been telling myself for like the last 3 years, I want to come down there and shoot like spring or like a game or just trying to find a particular time to come down there and shoot. But
bro, come do it, bro. You got to use your
we can
network,
help you get connected.
People. I get it. I was foot dragging coming back. I think if I did not have kids, bro, I still wouldn't have been back at UF just off the strength of where I was at mentally. But I'm like, bro, I got pictures and all type of stuff around there, bro. I got to bring my kids to see this while it's still up. You feel what I'm saying? Let a new coach come in and just rip stuff down. I don't even like I went here no more. I don't got no bricks. So, that's the only thing I got to hold on to.
Stuff I had like, you see the little tap in sign right there. I took that off the wall, when coaches leave.
Yeah, I got me one of those.
Yeah.
Some stuff, but yeah. And I wanted to tell you a real random story, Jordan. I know this ain't got nothing to do with football. I thought it was dope though. I always wanted to tell you this. I went out to a frat party a long time ago. I think it was with your current wife and her two friends. I went out. I don't know how I ended up with them, but like we ended up coming back to the dorm. It was the one like right behind Springs. I don't know where they are.
Whatever. Yeah. It's like right in the middle of Keys and shit like that.
Right in the middle of Keys. Like right across from O'Donnell.
Oh, but, okay,
yeah. And she was telling me, I was like, I don't know how we got on the subject, but she was just talking about Jordan. She was like, yeah, that's my man right there. And it's just like, it's so dope to see, it all come full circle. I'm like, that's dope stuff right there.
Yeah, man. She been a ride or die since the beginning, man. I love that girl to the death and to the end, man. It's so crazy. Like at the time, you feel me? I couldn't have called it, but I just knew she was solid. Solid. I got her to spin it straight. I love that girl to the death, and I've loved her back then, bro. I think just for me, I was being a dumb idiot, dancing around the whole world when I shouldn't be. And like when I really sat down and had a right mind to think about it, like who I think really messed with me, and I'm like, it was clear as day for me. So I'm like. I even tell her this now. I'm like, girl, I've been knew you was gonna be mine. Just when I really sat down and thought about who really loved me, it was you.
It's like, yeah, right. I'm like, girl, come on, why you think you standing here right now? It's always been that. It's always been love. So it's crazy you said that, man. She always be laughing too because you used to call me Scarlight, Scarbright.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you be calling you and saying about. I forgot what this shit on the back of my neck say, but you used to clown that one too. She used to be like, you talking about a tattoo on your neck too? Like, yeah, man. Rob always got the jokes.
I had a nickname for everybody. I was definitely Scarlet nickname, Scarlight, Scarbright. So yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. You gotta pull it back up, man. You still got a legacy down there, man. Show your face, network with people, which is good for just, of course, just old vibes, but also just business, life. Use that network, man. You went in sacrifice, use it to your benefit, man.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I appreciate that. And that's what I'm saying. I know I need to get back down there. So it's been years, man. I feel like I haven't been in Florida in years. So it's just like, it's time to go back, period. So
we need to get you back. We got Carl back a couple weeks ago, and it sounds like he's going to make it to the spring game. So if there's anything that we can do to try to help you get back down there, I think it's awesome what you did. I mean, I went to school there. I obviously, looking at me, I didn't play football, but I got the Burger King hands on the pod. You know what I mean? No, but I think you mean a lot to university. I want you to know that, no matter how well your career did or didn't, or expectations or whatever, you sacrificing yourself is huge. And there's a lot of fans that would love to meet you for sure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. I most definitely appreciate y'all. Sometimes we need this perspective. We get so far removed from it, sometimes you forget, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate the support and everything regardless. And I have no regrets, you know what I'm saying? Everything for a reason. So, I'm grateful, man.
What was that one year with Lane Kiffin like, man?
Oh, it was cool. It was just, I thought we was going to do something. We just didn't end up doing. I felt like we lost the heart and soul of our team. You probably know a lot of guys down there, Scarlett. But Aziz.
Yeah, Aziz was a baller.
Yeah, he was.
Motor was a baller. David Singletary, he was a baller. He ended up leaving y'all too.
We had Motor. We had Aziz. Who Pierre? I think he was with the Steelers. The defensive back.
If you had some pieces, bro.
That's what I'm saying. You're just like you couldn't tell me. Honestly, I'm just so used to like going into a game. Well, I think that was the year that Kyler Murray put 70 on us. But me going into a game, my first game, I'm confident in my defense. I'm like, okay, like I never expect anything otherwise, considering being at Florida, you know what I'm saying? But it was just like that was the biggest difference. Like that was the biggest difference going into it. Like that game, of course, Oklahoma was good that year, but we got our asses handed to us, and I don't know. I thought we was gonna be a lot better, and I love Coach Kiffin for taking a chance on me. I appreciate it, man. So it was a great experience down there. Everything didn't go the way I wanted it to. I felt like I was battling injuries, and I felt like at the same time I was getting back to 100%, but I felt like it was just. I wouldn't say it was a lot different than Florida, I would say.
Yeah, resources, etc.
Yeah, in terms of resources and stuff that I'm just like used to. Like, I felt I came down there on a bougie tip. Like, we don't have
we don't have this and we don't have that. You're not about to make my smoothie after the workout.
Yeah, I'm like, the ice tub was not cool or whatever. I seen they updated everything now. But we had a lot of good pieces down there that actually end up going to the league. So I was confident, but it just didn't play out how we thought.
We got a comment here. It says we still have our custom Uncle T Gators jersey.
That's crazy.
Gators fans still run deep, man. They still love it.
Yeah, I appreciate the love, y'all. Always.
Well, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate you for pulling up this week, man. You do social media stuff where people can follow you, or?
Private. Kind of, sort of, but I'm still on the same platforms, but not as much. I feel like I haven't been doing as much lately. Just kind of been focusing on life and, next steps in terms of going back to school or, something like that. But you can kind of reach me on the same platforms, Miles and Miles of Riyles. Yeah, Miles and Miles of _Riyles. And I think on X, Twitter or whatever, it's just TEE _Riyles. So,
Well, we appreciate you, Antonio. If there's anything that we can ever do for you, photography, UF, whatever it is, let us know.
Oh yeah, I'll most definitely be down there. I'll be on the sidelines. I'm gonna get down there, and before Johnny even texts me, I'm gonna be down there. Just
yeah, man, come drive that thing a couple miles north real quick. You know what I mean, a couple miles south. Come mess with it.
Yeah, you already, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all for having me.
You, dude.
All right, have a good one, man.
We'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, brother. Take care.
Antonio Riles. Great episode, boys.
No, solid,
yeah, baby.
Nice little
Yes.
game.
Three interviews. Appreciate Josh Newberg, Ben Chase, and Antonio Riles for pulling up. This week we've got a big show. Next week, got a couple people that we're already working on for next week. Let's give it out for one final shout out for our friends over at Alumni Hall. Go visit Alumni Hall in Gainesville on Archer Road, or go visit them online at alumnihall.com. The largest selection of Florida Gators wear and accessories that you could ever want. Again, alumnihall.com or Alumni Hall on Archer Road. All right, boys. Same corner, same time next week.
Let's do it.
Hey, let's do it. Great.
Before anybody leaves, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the retweet button. Again, we appreciate Josh Newberg, Ben Chase, and Antonio Riles. We'll see you guys next week.